G'day, Michael here. I've been asked a question about how to handle the auto leveling on my big Cricket. Here's the rig that I've got set up. I ended up making my own little spool set up for another printer, but I'm using it here. But the critical thing that we've got to remember with the auto level on this unit is the base unit actually has to have a conductive surface, and the way it's provided is by a I put this shoelace end on this wire, so it's a bit more durable than the original, but it has to be connected to this plate surface. Now you can probably see I've got PVA on this piece. It is a chunk of aluminium. What the unit came with was like a mesh with an adhesive, like a sticky tape style adhesive, the typical sort of 3M contact adhesive that they have. Alright, so I'm using aluminium, but this surface of PVA is not conductive. So the print head tip, I'll just see if I can have a look at that. The actual tip here also has to be conductive. There is a line, oops, focus. There is a line here, a wire that is connected to here in the back end. Where are we now? I've modified this head a little bit. Here we go. This particular wire is connected to this whole assembly electrically, which is of course conductive through the unit down to the print head. Now obviously I've got this cold and set filament, well, a bit just broke off, but while that is set, it is also prone to not being conductive. So there's a couple of things we have to do. I'll try and not shake this so much. There's a couple of things we have to do, and that is make sure that this is conductive, the actual print head, and we have to make sure this base is conductive. So my solution for that is to actually turn this base over and expose the back side, because it's the same thickness, so inverted it'll be the same. Now I'll just do that, give me a minute. Okay, so as you can see, I've inverted this aluminium plate. It happens to be a 6mm thick aluminium plate, but what is important is that this surface is clean, or clean enough so it is electrically conductive. Now anodized aluminium is not electrically conductive, so you need to have like a naked mill finished aluminium. Okay, and I've clamped the shoelace end here to the aluminium plate, so this is now conductive. Now to make the print head conductive, we're going to have to preheat the unit, so I'll get onto that. Let's turn the machine on. Okay, this light's on whether or not it's powered, so I'll just turn it on. It's going to do its little boot up sequence any time now. Okay, so we go tools. Can you hear me? Okay, tools. Going to go preheat, and I find you have to just where are we now? I'll just bump that up to 10-degree increments. I'll press plus. I like getting sort of 220 degrees, so it definitely melts the filament and sort of any loose daggy bits around the place. They're soft enough that it doesn't interfere with the conductivity of the bed sensing. Okay, so there's that. Now I might just switch to the bed. Just arbitrarily start that. Okay, so if I go back, got to give it a few seconds to catch up to what I've done. As you can see, here we have, it's sitting at 74 degrees of 220, it's climbing, and that's 88. Here we've got the bed temperature climbing, 28 degrees of 60, 31 degrees of 60. So you can watch the unit climb. Okay, so we'll give that a minute or two to get its temperature up. It doesn't actually take long on this unit. We don't have to wait for the bed, we do have to wait for the print head. So basically, we're waiting on the under edge of this tip to have all its plastics melted. Now feel free to clean that off with a pair of tweezers or whatever. This is fairly clean, and all we're interested in is actually the last millimetre of this surface. So once we hit about 200, I'll let it get to 220 degrees, I'll get it to do the homing cycle. Now you may also notice that if you've got one of these machines, which you probably do have, I've machined this down. I've taken 2 of the cooling rings off it so as to shorten this whole assembly, because this unit is quite extended. The other thing I've done on this is I've made it so all the screws are from above. I've tapped threads in rather than using the nylock nut and bolt assembly they've got. So this is easy to dismantle. Anyhow, so how are we going for temperature? Focus. I can probably get away with already heating that up as you can see the filament's starting to ooze out. So it's going to be hot, but I can get hot. But it's only hot the bit you touch. Alright, so let's get it to do its dance. It's reading 198 of 220. Tools. Auto level. So it's doing a little dance. I don't find this process particularly logically done, but it seems to work. It does some strange little dances. Now you can see there's a bit of filament there showing on the front of the tip. They'll be pressed thin because we've got the tip, which probably be about the 210, 215 temperature now. Try and get less distractions in the image. So as we get closer, now it's making electrical contact. It's a very light physical contact, but it's making electrical contact. Now, you have to do this every time you turn the machine on. So if the machine's been reset, you have to do this auto leveling again. So this procedure is something that's not optional. I do find having this aluminium plate removable means I can take it out of the machine, cool it down, take the part off, put it back in fairly quickly because aluminium is nicely conductive. Now it's decided to park. It's done its home cycle. Give it a second. Okay, so I'm going to pause that and invert the platen again. Okay, so as you can see, the platen's back with the PVA on the upper side. So let's give it a job to do. Where am I? I don't even know what this file is. I haven't used this machine for a week or two. It still does the homing cycle, but it seems to recall the offsets. But like I said, on restarting you'll end up with a focus. On restarting you'll end up with a situation where you have to do the homing again. So what's our temperature? Okay, it's doing its little dance. Oh, yep, there we go, it's starting to print. So as you can see, it's a fairly big area that went around, and the level is consistent enough to do the job. Well, I guess that's it. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, ask a question, leave a comment. Bye for now.